So I'm going to be responding today to Ash Hardell's video on biological sex, which a lot of you requested. I don't have a lot to say about this video beforehand. It's just a terrible video. Let's just get right into the video.
Hey everybody! Let's talk about sex, as in biological sex or biosex. What is it? I'll begin by saying our culture is laden with innumerable misconceptions regarding sex.
She says our culture has a lot of misconceptions about biological sex. I mean, maybe. I don't really know what misconception I can think of off the top of my head that culture has about biological sex. There are two. We know that. Sure, maybe science has more to figure out about how biological sex works. We have a lot of it figured it out. I can't really think of any miscommunications between the nature of biological sex and science that people have. We're going to get into what she thinks the misconceptions are. But just right off the bat, that statement is misleading.
Society's definition usually goes something along the lines of
either of the two main categories, male and female, into which humans and many other living things are divided on the basis of their reproductive functions.
Yeah, that is how it goes. And notice how that definition was categories. Categories. Keep that in mind.
This is a common portrayal of sex that I'd feel safe in assuming most people are very familiar with. Something about sex I don't think many people are familiar with, however, is that it's a social construct.
Oh no! Oh no. So, you've probably heard from the likes of Riley Dennis, the biological sex is social construct argument. You're gonna hear, the typical SJW rationale from her. It's gonna get pretty infuriating pretty quickly. I'm not gonna spoil it too much for you, but yeah.
It's a method of classification invented by humans, just like all labels and systems of classification are constructs.
Wait, did she just say, everything is a social construct? Kill me. Yes, a lot of things are social constructs. I'll give you that. But biological facts are not social constructs. Sure, the words that we use to describe them, maybe, but not the actual things. What are you talking about?
Now, don't get me wrong, our body's physicality is not a construct.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And you know what the body's physicality is? Biological sex.
A person may, for example, have facial hair, XY chromosomes, tons of testosterone flowing through their veins. The way our bodies are is simply undeniable. However, labeling a person like this male based on their physical characteristics is a human design.
I will call you male, even if there are other parts or variations of your biology that indicate you may not fit perfectly into society's typical definition of the category. Male it is.
Wait. So if someone has XY chromosomes, they have the penis and testicles and all of the internal anatomy that goes with that, and they have male secondary sex characteristics as well. We can't call them because that's a social construct. I mean, yeah, technically the word male is a social construct. If we called them a female, that wouldn't change the fact that they are that biological sex that they are. The words that we use to call them are arbitrary. I get what she's saying by that, but that's not what she's... Oh.
After all, body parts are not inherently male or female, they're just body parts.
Okay, well, some body parts, yeah. But other body parts are sexually dimorphic.
Pop quiz. This is a male arm, a female arm, an arm. That can't be right. I think if I squint, I can see the arm's sex.
Well, like I said, some body parts are sexually dimorphic, some aren't. Are you seriously arguing that all body parts are not sexually dimorphic? Yeah, obviously an arm isn't sexually dimorphic. Are you making the feminine penis argument? Are you?
Sex is also a system that is heavily influenced by society's binary views of gender.
No, it's not. If anything, it's the other way around, minus society. Gender is influenced by biological sex. Male brain is influenced by a male biology, and a female brain is influenced by a female biology. gender is influenced by sex. And though they're technically not one and the same thing, they're not completely independent of each other, unlike SJWs like to say. So she's, of course, conflating the two, acting like they're the same thing, ironically.
This is evident by the fact that society only uses two binary sex categories that each have strong associations with the two binary genders. These two sex categories include male associated with man and female associated with woman.
Okay, so she's saying, I think, that if you are biologically a male, you get called a man, and if you're biologically a female, you get called a woman. Yeah, because 99.7% of the time that is your gender. I think we've established... I'm sorry, some people end up being trans, but that is a very small minority of the time. What are we supposed to do about that? Are you just supposed to pretend that that's not a thing? That 99.7% of the time, your gender matches your sex?
To recap, why am I calling you male instead of recognizing that sex exists on a spectrum? Because I think sex is the same as gender, and since I like the idea of two genders, I conclude there must also be two sexes.
Oh, my brain is breaking. So, you're not supposed to acknowledge somebody's sex. You're supposed to just say sex exists on a spectrum. You're supposed to say sex exists on a spectrum. So instead of it's a boy or it's a girl, you're supposed to say, I can't tell if it's a boy or a girl, because sex is on a spectrum. It all goes back to, I keep referencing that, it all goes back to, that Monty Python, the meaning of life thing. It's too early to impose roles on it.
A boy or a girl?
Now, I think it's a little early to start imposing roles on it, don't you?
Which classification a person receives is largely based on the following: chromosomes, hormones, gametes, primary sex characteristics, which are present at birth and directly related to reproduction. These include external sex organs, such as the vulva, clitoral glands, penis, and scrotum, and internal sex organs, like the uterus, ovaries, epididymis, and etc. Also, secondary sex characteristics, which are developed during puberty. These are things like body hair, facial hair, muscle to fat ratio, larynx size. Society's idea of the perfect specimen in each of these categories might look something like this: a male with lots of testosterone, XY chromosomes, sperm, a penis, testicles, facial hair growth, a deeper voice, broad shoulders, and a more muscular build. While the ideal female would have lots of estrogen, XX chromosomes, ovum, vulva, uterus, little to no facial hair, higher voice, broad hips, and breasts.
So she's talking about the various characteristics that make up sex. And I would more or less agree with her. Those characteristics do compose your sex. Now, keep in mind that some of those are more essential than others. Your chromosomes obviously determine what's going to be developed in the rest of your body. Whether you have a Y chromosome or not, it determines whether you're going to develop male characteristics or not. Well, secondary sex characteristics are more whether you get testosterone or estrogen in your body at puberty. So not all those are necessarily created equal, and those are at different stages of development. But I do more or less agree with her that those are various aspects of sex. But she's talking about the ideal male and the ideal female. And that's not true. That's just not true. There is obviously no ideal male and ideal female. There's no science behind that. There are obviously variations between males and females, completely natural variations that occur. These natural variations are not differences in any sort of sex, but she's going to claim they are, as you will see in the video. All they are, which she's talking with the ideal male and the ideal female, is what tends to occur, what tends to happen. They're just the mean. They're just it's sort of like saying that just because the average IQ, say, is 100, that people with an IQ of 97 must be mentally disabled. That's not true. Just because you deviate very slightly from the average, and it's not significant, doesn't mean that you're something completely and utterly different. But anyway, you'll see what I'm talking about and what she's talking about in the video.
Wait. Okay, I have to say something. I'm not sure where I fit in this chart. See, I'm a person with PMDS. In my case, this means that I have all the previously stated characteristics, XY chromosomes, testosterone, a beard, but I also have a uterus and fallopian tubes. Also, where do people with other chromosome variations, like X, XXX, or XXY go on here? This feels like it's missing a lot.
Shh, no, my heuristic is flawless.
Okay, so now she's bringing intersex people into here. Somebody with XY chromosomes, but also female sex organs. Now, obviously that's a rare intersex condition. In fact, it's so rare that when I was looking up commonly cited intersex conditions in my video on intersex people, which, because intersex people is a topic that's relevant in this discussion, I will link my video on intersex conditions that I did a while ago in the description. Anyway, so now she's conflating intersex people in here. Oh boy. She's saying because intersex people do not technically fall into male or female. And keep in mind, intersex people actually are a significant deviation from male or female. That is why they are called intersex. Keep in mind, they are called intersex. Not a third sex. Not biological sex is a social construct. I can't tell. They are called intersex. And they are an abnormality. They have a medical condition. It's not fun to have a medical condition. Although some intersex people just have, chromosomal variation. Like XXX people, I think. And maybe one or two other conditions. And then, most other conditions do have some other sort of medical risks or effects that come with it. Anyway, she's treating intersex conditions, which are an issue for a lot of people. Like they're special. They don't fit the sex binary social construct. And it's clear that by what she's talking about, just by that she does not know what intersex actually means. She's already been throwing trans people under the bus, in so many of her videos. Now she's going to throw intersex people under the bus. And you'll see later she gets in the video, she's going to conflate intersex people and them actually deviating from the ideal thing that she set up with people who actually aren't even intersex, but just don't have a lot of testosterone or something. Which isn't the same thing at all. Ash, you have no idea what you're talking about. To be fair, I don't know that much about intersex conditions. I did a little research for my video. I don't know anybody who's intersex or anything like that. So I'm no expert on this issue either. But I know that it's not some special third sex, that intersex people are people. They're not some special snowflake. They're not some quota that you can use to try to further your agenda or your identity politics. They're actually people with conditions. Anyway, I've been rambling on too long. So let's see what she has to say about intersex people and people who simply have different levels.
That's how science would say sex is classified, but how many of us have had our chromosomes tested? Just saying. Like, how sure are you that you have XX or XY or whatever chromosomes? How sure? And when was the last time you had your hormone levels checked? How can anyone be so sure they fit neatly into one of these boxes?
So here's the part where, again, like I said, she's conflating people who are intersex. Not all intersex people even have different chromosomes. There are plenty of intersex conditions. Even like she just said, there's an intersex condition where you can have XY chromosomes, completely normal XY chromosomes, and have female internal reproductive organs. So again, she's conflating things. But anyway, she's conflating intersex conditions where you have different sex chromosomes with hormonal conditions which are not necessarily intersex conditions. There are plenty of hormonal conditions. You can have low testosterone, low estrogen, high testosterone for a female, high estrogen for a male, and that's not considered intersex. Now, it can be part of an intersex condition, certainly, but that's not necessarily intersex. And it's funny because a lot of SJWs actually think it's intersex sometimes. I've come across at least one person claiming to be intersex, and he's actually not. He just has a hormone condition. But, yeah, she's conflating those two things and saying, well, they don't completely fit in the sex binary, so they must be the same thing. Congratulations, people who have slightly different hormones. You must be the same thing as an intersex person. So I guess if you're a post-menopausal woman or a post-andropausal man, that must be the same thing as being born with an intersex condition. Oh my god. So, which brings up a good point. If you get your testicles removed because you have testicular cancer, or your ovaries removed because you have ovarian cancer, your breast removed because you have breast cancer, or like you're just post-menopause, post-andropause, some sort of hormone level thing, or you have to have sex organs removed for whatever reason, are you then not within... Are you then some form of intersex, according to her? Or like an intersex person? Are you, according to her? I mean, I'm asking you, Ash. Are those people then the same thing? Because they don't fit in the sex binary. Are you just grouping all these people in together? I mean, those people are not the same thing. Seriously. You're really devaluing... Again, like, I'm not trying to speak for intersex people at all, but I know that those are not the same thing. And if you're doing it just for your political gain, to say, oh, they both defy the sex binary, then that's actually really insensitive of you. To compare these people who, in many cases, have to live with conditions and sometimes have to go through corrective surgeries, sometimes, without their consent, without their knowledge, because it was done to them at a very young age. Luckily, that's not happening as much anymore. But you're comparing that to, people who just have different hormone levels or have had to go through some sort of treatment for whatever reason. Like, that is really insensitive. But anyway, I'm rambling. Let's just continue with this video.
And what if a person knows for sure they don't fit precisely into either side of this table? I think many of us can think of a few people in our lives like this. For example, do you know any guys who can't grow beards? I do. I know, like, a ton.
Okay. So, guys who don't grow beards aren't men. Because they don't fit into the ideal men category. Something as mundane as being a guy who can't grow a beard. So, everyone in my audience, if you're a guy who can't grow a beard, congratulations, you're not a man. You don't fit into the man category. You're not a man. You're not a man. You're an intersex person. You're like an intersex person.
And are you friends with any women who do have facial hair? If not, I'll introduce you to one right now. Me.
Ash, I thought you were like some genderqueer, non-binary. I thought you were trans. Didn't you just come out as trans the other week? Or the other 2 weeks? And now you're a woman again. But you wanted to get top surgery and go on testosterone, and now you're a woman again. Can't you make up your damn mind? I mean, I'm being kind of facetious, but seriously. You call yourself trans in one, then you call yourself a woman in the next. And yet, you're considering serious medical treatment. And I know this is going off on a tangent, and I get technically that she's saying, like, oh, I'm a biological female, which is funny because she's defying the point of her whole video. But, like, I would never call myself a woman. Like, say I'm a woman who does this, that, and the other thing. I mean, I'm a biological female. Obviously, I recognize that. I was born biologically female. But I don't call myself a woman like that. And yet she's saying she's trans and non-binary and whatever. Like, seriously.
My face is riddled with about 10 long, dark, stray hairs. A few years ago, I would have never admitted to this. And now I'm putting it on the internet. I used to be hella insecure of the hairs on my chinny chin chin, but since then I've met several women who also grow facial hair.
Women don't grow facial hair. Look at the chart.
Some have random stray hairs like me.
No, this can't be.
Some have hairy upper lips.
I don't believe it.
And some can grow beards.
You liar.
I see now that having some hair on your face is a natural and not uncommon characteristic for females.
Liberal propaganda.
Need more examples? There are also females with broad shoulders and prominent Adam's apples.
Yeah, we get it. You had facial dysphoria. You're a woman with chin hair dysphoria. Let me tell you about some chin hair dysphoria. I wish I could grow more chin hair. I got like one chin hair. I'm touching it right now, but Ash probably actually has more chin hair than me.
Just as there are some males who grow breasts and can't produce sperm.
They're still males. You just said they were males, too. They're not intersex. They're not defying anything. They're not special. They're males who happen to have slight deviations from the norm. That does not make them any less male.
We need to understand in many ways that while there are biological patterns, they are not rules. We need to understand in many ways that while there are biological patterns, they are not rules. They are not rules. They are not rules.
Oh, that actually makes a lot of sense.
However, we often talk about sex and gender as if there are rules.
Yeah, because that's how biology works. Jesus, this is one of the most infuriating things I've watched.
Rules that if your body does not follow, deem you inferior or strange.
Yeah, no one's calling anyone inferior or strange, Ash. And again, she's trying to promote this message of acceptance, but she just threw intersex people, and by extension, anyone who deviates slightly from the norm, like from the absolute averages in any way, she just said that they are not really males or not really females. That they're different. Isn't that calling them inferior or strange?
This is something we need to start challenging and changing. Biological sex is not so clear-cut.
Maybe I need to revise my chart a bit.
But the whole person talking back and forth with her is so dumb. I mean, I hate saying stuff is dumb, but it's so annoying.
The entire script was from my book.
Oh, of course it was. Of course it was from her book. Ash I get she needs to make money. I totally do. I mean, if she's made arguments that weren't from her book, maybe her videos would be a little more tolerable. So that was basically the entire video. That was pretty insulting to basically anyone's intelligence, anyone who deviates slightly from the absolute norm, to intersex people, because she's using them as some special snowflake token. To anyone in my audience who is either intersex or has, for whatever reason, man who can't grow beard, woman who has high testosterone, whatever, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that she's using you as some special snowflake token and lumping you in all in the same group. Because obviously being intersex is not the same thing as having some slight deviation from the norm. Again, that's like comparing, people who have IQ of 97 to people who have an actual intellectual disability. Not comparing intersex people to people who have disabilities, but, I'm saying it's like making, with standard deviations, it's like making the same comparison, statistically. But yeah, video is so infuriating. But I get what you guys mean now when you said that video made you guys really pissed off, because it definitely did with me. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this video, and thanks for watching.
Feel the funk blast!